yesterday following the bilateral meeting, when China says, let's work together rather than competing. And that's how diplomacy functions at a time when there's so much happening internationally. Are we now going to sit and nitpick when we look at these big meetings and developments taking place, Kapil Madan?
So, Madhav, what I think is, I've heard my good friend Siddharth from the BJP, and it appears that he is trying to confuse diplomacy with contradictions. He thinks that it's kind of a choreography where you go at one place and you shift your stance, the way you do in choreography. And let me give you an example. We all saw what happened in Galwan. We saw that, we've lost our soldiers. And what happened thereafter? What we did, we banned a few Chinese applications. We banned some Chinese websites. And there was a lot of hue and cry that was made by the government that, we will not be trading with China. And China was shown as an enemy country. Now, what we've seen in these Operation Sindoor, the Ministry of Defense on record has said that it is not, that was Pakistan alone who was fighting this war. They had all support from China. China was not only supplying them the military equipments, they were also supplying them with the military intelligence. And perhaps that also, caused some harm to us. I mean, it is again disputable whether harm came, harm didn't come, but it's the government own stand on record factually that China did help Pakistan when this entire
valid point, Kapil.
Now let's look at
Kapil Madan, valid point. Just listen, hear me out. Just hear me out. There's a simple clarification I'm asking from you. By the same yardstick which you are mentioning, US provides F-16s to Pakistan. Should we stop talking to US also?
No, allow me. So we never on record said that, US is our enemy or US is facilitating, Pakistan insofar as India and Pakistan conflict was. This was not the position. But despite that, what happened after was we all saw how our diplomacy, how our foreign policy failed, because prime ministers, if you look at his own statements, prime ministers on record have said that Donald Trump is his personal friend. Not only a personal friend, Mr. Modi also went to the United States of America and campaigned in an election program of
we'll come to the US. We'll come to the US. We're discussing China right now. You're calling this a foreign policy failure.
Hold on. We're talking diplomacy, right?
Yeah, correct. But let's get in a response. You're saying that there's an intelligence failure. China has helped its intelligence as far as Pakistan is concerned. Let me bring in Ashok Sajjanhar. Ashok Sajjanhar, it's a valid concern that defense, when it comes to wars such as Operation Sindoor, if China has played a role supporting Pakistan, why should we be engaging with such a country is what several opposition leaders are saying. Your response to that argument, Ashok Sajjanhar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madhav. And, China is a big country. As you know, it's a neighbor, 3,500 kilometers long border with India. It is an undemarcated border. There are skirmishes taking place. China is a big economy. As far as India is concerned, India's industry, India's manufacturing, India's growth is heavily dependent upon imports from China. That has been coming down in the area of finished products, but in the area of raw materials, intermediate, there is, still a huge dependence of India on China, not of today, not of 10 years, but it has been going on for the last 25 years. Now, it is good for both the countries. It is definitely good for India that we have peace and tranquility on the border. We have security on the border. And you cannot get security without talking to them. So I think it is necessary that we have talk, conversation, negotiation, and develop a modus vivendi. Now, when a leader goes to China, shaking hands is the normal diplomatic international protocol. I don't think there was any hug between Mr. Xi and Prime Minister Modi. There were hugs between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, like it always happens. Russia, before that Soviet Union, they have always been very good friends and partners. There was I could not even see a conversation between Erdogan and Prime Minister Modi, let alone hugs or shake hands. So I think let us be accurate in what we are trying to speak about this. As far as our talk with China is concerned, we made all our issues, our concerns very clear, whether it was in terms of terrorism, support to terrorism, that is, and we'll have to see whether China walks the talk. We also told them, we want multipolarity in the world,
right,
but we also want a multipolar Asia. The last point I want to make here, Madhav, also is that in the bilateral talks, Prime Minister said we want to have this relationship based on mutual sensitivity, mutual respect, and mutual interest, which means that China is not going to ride roughshod. In a 20-minute conversation, Madhav, let us all realize these are issues coming from 1962, whether it is border, whether it is terrorism. In a 20-minute conversation, 20 minutes taken over by translation, you can't solve those issues, but you have to set a roadmap. The roadmap has been set.
Right.
There are going to be discussions, and we will hope that we will always be cautious. But we'll hope that, we'll have peace and tranquility on the border.
Okay, but let me bring in fact, Asif Sohail as well. Asif Sohail, your leader, Asudin Owaisi, comes out to say that, China's support for Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, he's talking about hydrological river data. The point is, unless you start negotiating with the country, how are you going to resolve these issues? Diplomacy is the way forward. अगर आप diplomacy के through बातचीत नहीं करेंगे, तो कैसे इस मुद्दे को resolve करेंगे?